Hey there, Legal Tea listeners. This is your host, Jenny Roselle. Last week, I teased that this week would be a cautionary tales type of episode. But after recording last week, I was like, wait, this episode is going to drop the week of Thanksgiving. So I thought about doing something kind of pertinent to the holiday. I don't know, something around family. But I did an episode just a few weeks ago, episode 169, about being around family for the holidays and really what to do if you notice that your family member, is declining or has declined. So that's definitely pertinent. And if you didn't catch that episode, go back and check it out. Though, as I was trying to think of a topic for this episode, I was trying to find something that just excreted thankfulness and gratitude and just like feel good stuff. That way, I don't talk about doom and gloom the week of a holiday. So today may feel a little airy fairy to some, but today is going to be 5 things that I personally am extremely thankful and grateful for. I'm a wife, I'm a family member, I'm a business owner, I'm an attorney, and I'm a lot more things beyond that. And I just think it will be fun to kind of peel back the curtains of, the voice behind this podcast because I'm a real person. And actually, speaking of that, I woke up this morning with a scratchy throat. So if there's a little bit of a awkward silence, it's because I'm taking a swig of the hot tea that's next to me. So yeah, let's get started. So the first thing, without a doubt, that I am so very thankful and grateful for is, number one, my husband, and two, our family, including the furry ones. Without them, I'm a whole lot of nothing. And maybe that's not true. Maybe that's a little dramatic, but I have a wonderful life, just an absolutely amazing life. And it's a large part due to them. And you see, if you didn't know, I met my husband while in law school. And I would seriously give up my law degree if I had to choose between law school and my law degree and him. And thankfully, I don't have to choose. But if I did, my shortcomings are his biggest strengths and vice versa. And I'm just so lucky to have a spouse like him. And he doesn't even listen to my podcast. So I'm not just saying this. Oh, well, maybe he'll listen to this episode, but probably not. And a little fun fact for all of you, about 5-ish years ago, we actually moved out of the suburbs of North Indianapolis and into a very rural area, just still about an hour-ish north of Indianapolis, but nonetheless very rural. We're both from rural areas, like we were both born and raised in very rural areas of the state of Indiana. So it was our goal to one day move out of the city and into quiet rural life. So here we are. My husband grew up on a farm and raised animals, and I think that moving to the country really sparked that passion because we moved out to the rural area. And then the next thing I really know, we're getting cattle, as in like cows. So fast forward to today, we have about 15 to 20 head of cattle at really any given time. And people just think it's absolutely hilarious that we are two, lawyers who live on a little cattle farm. But you know, just like my husband says, they're kind of like our therapy. The cattle are like our therapy. They force us to get outside, to be active, and just work on something else together that's not the law firm because we co own the law firm. So a lot of the things we do and work on and talk about are with the law firm. So it just gives us something else to focus on. When I said earlier about my family, including the furry ones, I was talking about our cows, but as well as our basset hound. We have one dog. Her name is Flossie. We're big basset hound people, and we've adopted a little cheap plug from the Ohio Basset Hound Rescue. We Our second to last adoption from that organization, we just recently lost just a few months ago. We put down our basset hound Millie. She was 13 and just really started to fail, and it was just the humane thing to do. But boy, that's always hard, isn't it? So now we have our cows, of which I have every single one of them named, and we have our Flossie girl. So I would also be remiss if, before I move on to the second thing, if I didn't mention our family. My immediate family, my dad, mom, and sister, brother-in-law, niece, nephew, super close to them. We bond over laughter. Like laughter is what keeps, my side of the family just yeah. If you ask my husband, he would also say that we hug all the time, that we hug so much. And it makes me laugh because I never really noticed it until, I've watched other families and, even his family's not a big like hugger family, hugging family. So we hug each other a ton when we see each other, when we leave. We're just a hugging family. We have each other's backs. We're each our biggest cheerleaders and supporters. And honestly, the same for my husband's family. I hit the jackpot when it comes to in-laws. I was having a conversation with someone like a year or so ago, and it was another woman, wife, and she does not get along well with her mother-in-law. And I know that stuff exists out there, and heck, I know it exists between like blood relatives that don't even speak. But I am so thankful for my in-laws. They're just awesome. It's just an awesome, awesome family that I was able to join. And actually, we are going to head to Hawaii with my father-in-law and mother-in-law next year in the spring of 2025, which will be my father-in-law's final state of the 50 states. He's been to 49, and Hawaii next year will be number 50 for him. So really excited for that. Shifting to the second thing I'm grateful for, I'm extremely, extremely thankful for my office, of course, Indiana Estate and Elder Law. I have a really cool career path that I don't think I've ever shared on this podcast that I would love to share. So, I graduated from my undergrad, my bachelor's degrees from Butler University. Go dogs. And shortly after undergrad, I was somehow smart enough as a 20 something. Looking back, I have no idea how I was smart enough to do this, but I was. That I realized law school was just as much as a financial venture as it was an educational endeavor. And a little fun fact about me, I was one of those weirdos that I said I wanted to be a lawyer when I was in the second grade. So, fast forward a ton of time after undergrad at Butler, I was like, okay, well, maybe I should go work at a law office to see if that's what I actually want to do, as a career for my life. So I started at the law office that I now own. But I started back then about 13 years ago as like an assistant, a receptionist, a paralegal, whatever you want to call it. For a long time, my business card was blank because everything I did it with 150% effort and I did it well. So a couple years in, I mentioned to the founder of the firm that I wanted to go to law school one day. And I tell you, she just latched on to that and she held me she held me accountable. And next thing I know, I'm signing up for the law school admission test, and then I'm getting accepted into Indiana University's School of Law. And I actually chose to go through law school in their evening program. And that gave me the opportunity to work at the law firm during the day full time. And then after work, I drove to law school every night. So I'm not kidding when I say I ate all three of my meals, breakfast, lunch, dinner, outside of my house, Monday through Friday for 3 years. It was brutal, yes, but worth it for sure. So fast forward more time for the bar exam. I got through that craziness. And then fast forward more time, the founder of the firm that I now own was ready to retire. So at this point, I had sat in every seat in the law firm, from receptionist to various paralegal roles to attorney. And very long story short, my husband and I ended up buying the law firm and taking the baton to carry it on. And that was about like 5 to 6 years ago now. So we're about 5 to 6 years into business ownership, even though the firm has been open for like over 20 years now. So yeah, it's a really cool, wild story, and one I'm so thankful for because a lot of attorneys do not have a career path like mine. Most go to law school like right after undergrad. They, get through law school, they enter a law firm as an attorney and really have no idea what the receptionist job looks like or what the paralegals do every day and, get frustrated about, especially when attorneys are the source of the frustration. So, my path to where I am now really allows me to understand every one of my team members, what they're going through, what their normal work day looks like, and, capacity workload wise, which makes me a very tuned in business owner, if that makes any kind of sense. So, shifting to a third thing I'm super grateful for are definitely the clients of the law firm. I know I am biased, I know it, but the firm's clients are the best. They're just the best. And I think it has a little to do with the fields that we're in, estate and elder law. Those fields tend to be very touchy feely and personal. So, as a byproduct of that, our relationship with clients it tends to be pretty deep, because so many of them have poured their hearts out to us about their kids and grandkids and family. So, in a way, we feel like they are our family or like our friend. And it sounds kind of weird, I know, but I would bet many, many of our clients would agree with me on this. We are there for them if something happens to their spouse. We're there for them if something happens to a child, or maybe even if their child is going through, say like a tough time and they need help on options on like maybe how to financially support them. Because of that level of a relationship, it really gives a sincere meaning to what we do. Occasionally around the office, I will overhear team members talking about random clients, and they'll say something like, "Oh, I just love them," or they'll say like, "They're just so nice." So if you're a client that happens to be listening to this, I hope you know how much we enjoy our relationship with you and we appreciate your trust in us. But just know that we look at you as kind of like an extension of our own family. And that's truly what it feels like. So now a fourth thing I'm super thankful for is the team at my office. I always tell people that the reason it looks like I have my crap together is because of them, the team. Some of the team members are behind the scenes and you probably will never see them. And some are super client facing and you'll see them all the time. Regardless of who they are and what role they play within the firm, they are so extremely important to me, and to keep the office chugging along. After all, they are a large part of keeping the business successful to ensure that the office is long lasting for our clients and to ensure that the office is profitable so that we can continue to employ them. We have something called core values as part of our firm's culture. And one of our core values is approachable professionalism. And we define it as we don't take ourselves very seriously, but as ruthless advocates for our clients, we take what we do very seriously. Now, that's a really nice way of saying, you know what? We have fun at the office, and we're the furthest thing from being stuffy, but simultaneously, we work our tails off and are very serious about the client work and the quality of it. I could truly not ask for a better group to be surrounded by and to serve our clients. And I'm just so thankful for them. And if any of them happen to be listening, I hope that I feel this way every day. I try to make it obvious. Lastly, a fifth thing I'm super thankful for is this podcast, Legal Tea. Sometimes I hear from people, how do you have time to do everything you do? Honestly, I'm not sure, but I would be lying if I said that if I said that there have been times that, you know, let me get this right. I would be lying if I said that there had not been times that I've almost dropped this podcast. It produces absolutely no revenue for me. It's purely for education, and it honestly takes a ton of my time. So, the moment something like that crosses my mind, I swear that is when someone will be like, I just love your podcast, Jenny. And I'm like, okay, I guess I'll stick with it for another while. So, this is episode 172. A lot of podcasts do not last this long, and it's often because they don't commit to continuing it. And this is a weekly thing, so it's a hard thing to keep up. But I'm extra thankful about this podcast because it keeps me on my toes and always learning new things within the estate and elder law space. Some episodes I've done, they require immense research. And most of this content, guys, is not just in the back of my head. Some of it is, but some of it's not. And I actually have to research this stuff. But that makes me a better lawyer, and that makes me a more informed human being. And that's what I mean by it keeps me on my toes. And anything that keeps me on my toes and is a challenge, I'm thankful for. I know this episode probably felt a little different, and it was different. I was struggling, like I said earlier, coming up with a topic for this episode. But then I was like, well, I should do something around gratitude and thankfulness. And this idea popped up, so I just ran with it. And if you didn't like it, well, I promise we'll be back to regularly scheduled content next week. But if you did enjoy it, I'm glad. It was fun, putting this together for you guys. Alrighty, let's wrap this episode up and shift to a sneak peek of next week. Next week, we're back to a cautionary tale episode where we talk about real life clients and real life cases that I or my office have worked on, or maybe they're just generally good things to know and be aware of so that you don't slip up and turn into a cautionary tale on this podcast one day. So next week, we are going to break down the term of art or the saying trust fund kid or trust fund baby, and why I would like that term of art to just go away. Many very normal and average net worth families use trust for kids. And the term sort of signifies this like, oh, they're rich and spoiled kind of feeling. And that's just not always the case. So, yeah, we're going to talk about that next time. But until then, Legal Tea listeners, take care and be well.